Hi everybody. So I'm just going to continue where I left off, creating this little pig that's designed by Jess Davies, also known as CraftLover17 on Instagram. All the band count was mentioned in part 1, so if you need to refer to that, you can look at part 1 at the beginning, and you can see that I really like this design because I've just loomed 4 pigs. And for the eyes, I mentioned in part 1 that I will be using 15mm. I just want to point out that you could use a 12mm. That's what Jess used for hers. I also found in this video using a toothpick to hold the snout down in place was a good choice, so you might want to get that one ready. So I'm going to continue, and I do hope you enjoy. What we're going to do now is to create the actual head. So I'm going to start off with 6 single crochets in the magic ring. So I'm going to take my first band and wrap it around the bottom peg 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. You're just going to reach in through this cap band and pull 6 bands through one at a time to create the magic ring. So put the end on your hook and bring the top loop over and bring it to the side. Go back in for your second band to bring through, end on your hook, and bring the top 2 loops over. Bring it to the side. And you're going to continue like that, reaching in, grabbing your band, end on your hook, and top 2 loops over. And continue. You want to attach that stitch marker to the band that's around your hook, and then you can remove off the loom. Move your bands around so that they're nice and even, and you should have 6 stitches. For round 2, we're going to increase to 12 stitches. So you're going to do 2 single crochets in each chain around. So 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, and 2. At the end of this round, you're going to have the 12 stitches. So let's go on our first chain, and you're going to do 2 single crochets in this one chain. So with 2 bands, just one at a time. Go back in that same chain to add your second band, and go to the next chain and do the same thing, 2 bands, one at a time. You want to continue this until you get to your stitch marker. You should have 12 stitches. Remove your stitch marker and add it to the band that's around your hook. For round 3, we're going to increase this round to 18 stitches. So the pattern is going to be single crochet followed by an increase, single crochet followed by an increase. So 1 band in the first chain, 2 bands in the second. You're going to repeat this pattern 6 times. So at the end of round 3, you're going to have 18 stitches. So I'm going to go in my first chain, not where it's getting pulled, and I'm going to do a single crochet. Going to the next chain is my increase, so 2 bands in that one chain, one at a time. Back in. And repeat, 1, 2. You can follow the layout and continue until you get to the stitch marker. Repeating. have 2 chains left and 2 sections left. Again, you should have 18 stitches. Remove your stitch marker and add it to the band that's around your hook. For round 4, we're going to increase to 24 stitches. So the pattern is going to be 2 single crochets followed by an increase. 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2. So every third stitch you're adding 2 bands, and you're going to repeat this 6 times. So I'm going to go on my first chain, single crochet. Second chain, single crochet. And the third chain is my increase, so 2 bands, one at a time in that same chain. And repeat, 1, 1, 2. Follow the layout until you get to your stitch marker. At any point in time, you can just pause the video and just copy the layout, like freeze it on the layout, and then you can continue the rounds. Patterns are usually repetitive, so it's easy just to pause. You can see I have 3 chains left and 3 sections left. So right now you should have the 24 stitches, counting the band that's on your hook, and you can remove the stitch marker and add it to the band that's around your hook there. For round 5, we're going to do 3 single crochets followed by an increase. 1, 1, 1, 2. You're going to repeat this pattern 6 times. So at the end of round 5, you're going to have 30 stitches. So I'm going to go on the first 3 chains with 1 band each. My 4th chain is my increase. Back in. And repeat 1, 1, 1, 2. You should have 30 stitches. Remove your stitch marker and add it to the band that's around your hook. For round 6, which is our last increase round, we're going to increase to 36 stitches. So the pattern is going to be 4 single crochets followed by an increase. 1, 1, 1, 1, 2. So just every 5th stitch, you're adding 2 bands in that same stitch, and you're going to repeat this 6 times, so you'll get 36 stitches when you're done. So I'm going to go in the first 4 chains with 1 band in each. 1, 1, 1, and 1, and my increase. And I'm going to repeat 4 single crochets followed by the increase. And repeat. You want to continue until you get to the stitch marker. So I have 5 chains left and 5 sections left. Continue. You should have 36 stitches and remove your stitch marker. For round 7, 8, and 9, you're going to do 36 single crochets, 1 band in each chain, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, all the way around until you get to your stitch marker. Each pile I have 36 bands, so at the end of each round you should have 36 stitches. I'm going to do part of round 7 with you, and then you're going to pause the video to complete the rest and come back to me when you're done. So I'm going to go on my first chain, not where it's getting pulled, and you're just bringing a band through to do a single crochet. Next chain. So you just want to continue all the way to your stitch marker, pause the video, and come back to me when you're done. For round 10, this is the round where we're going to add the eyes. So if you're using beads, you want to add them now. I'm going to do 36 single crochets. I have 9, 9, 9, and 9. So the total 9 times 4 is 36. The eyes are going to go on chains 16 and 22. I am going to use a guiding band for the eyes, and I'm going to cut it after. You could use an extra stitch marker. You might want to use two of the same kind of colors as your placement instead of cutting the bands. You could do a slip stitch around the eye band here, the chain, to get your placement. There's many different ways. For me, to explain to you, I find this the easiest. So what I'm going to do with the eye band from chain 16 here is just wrap it around my hook 3 times or even 4. It's up to you. But I'm going to go 3. And I'm going to slide that on. 4 would probably stay a little bit better. And for chain 22, I'm going to do the exact same thing. So if you need, pause the video just to get your layout and figure out like the chain 16 and chain 22. So 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I'm going to be going that way. I will be adding these when we're done the head. So right now I'm going to just single crochet in each chain around until I get to the 16th chain, and I'm going to add my first eye. So don't go where it's getting pulled. I'm at chain 16, so I'm just going to add the first eye. And continue till I get to chain 22. And chain 22, second eye. Now you want to continue until you get to your stitch marker, which is a single crochet in each. Should still have 36 stitches, and remove your stitch marker and add it to the band that's around your hook. For rounds 11, 12, 13, and 14, you're going to do 36 single crochets. So you're going to add one band, just as we did before, to each chain. One, 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 all the way around till you get to your stitch marker. I'm going to do part of round 11 with you, and then you're going to pause the video, complete the rest of the rounds, and come back to me when you're done. So I'm going to go in my first chain and grab my first band and just bring it through. Next chain, same thing, single crochet. Don't drop your stitches like I just did. Continue. if I didn't say, each pile of bands has 36 bands, so you should finish with 36 single crochets. If you are using a bead, you want to make sure that you catch the little stitch too as well. The bead pulls on that stitch, so you just want to make sure that you're doing 36 single crochets. And you want to just pause the video, continue until you get to your stitch marker, and then come back to me when you're done. For round 15, we're going to decrease, and we're going to decrease to 30 stitches. In order to do that, we're going to do 4 single crochets followed by an invisible decrease, so I'm going to be adding an extra band. 4 single crochets followed by an invisible decrease. And we're going to repeat this 6 times. So we'll have 30 stitches when we're done. So I'm going to go in the first 4 chains with a single band in each. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I just did 4 single crochets, so it's time for the invisible decrease. You're going to do a slip stitch in each of these 2 chains and leave it on your hook. Next chain, slip stitch. When you have 3 loops, then you want to slide. You're going to repeat the pattern, 4 single crochets followed by an invisible decrease. Four single crochets. Now slip stitch in the next 2 chains. Three loops and slide. And repeat. You want to just continue until you get to your stitch marker. You should have 30 stitches. Remove your stitch marker and add it to the band that's around your hook. For round 16, we're going to decrease to 24 stitches. So we're going to do 3 single crochets followed by an invisible decrease. 3 single crochets followed by an invisible decrease. And we're going to repeat this pattern 6 times. So we'll have 24 stitches when we're done. So I'm going to do 3 single crochets, not where it's getting pulled. invisible decrease. When you have 3 loops, then you slide. And you're going to continue 3 single crochets followed by an invisible decrease. You want to follow this pattern all the way around until you get to your stitch marker. You're going to just continue one more time. You should have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 stitches left, and 5 sections, or 4. You should have 5 chains left, and you have 3 bands here and 2 here. That equals the 5. You just want to repeat this one more time. So let's just go in. Yeah, I'm sorry for that. Decreasing is a little bit harder, but you have 5 chains left. Now I have 2 bands left, 2 chains left. We're going to do the invisible decrease. Three loops and slide. So you should have 24 stitches. Remove your stitch marker and add it to the band that's around your hook. For round 17, we're going to decrease to 18 stitches. So we're going to do 2 single crochets this time, followed by an invisible decrease. 2 single crochets followed by an invisible decrease. And again, you're going to repeat this pattern 6 times, and at the end you'll have your 18 stitches. So let's get started. You're going to add 2 bands to the first, or a single band to the first 2 chains. So do a single crochet. Chain 2 is a single crochet. 3 and 4, invisible decrease, so slip stitch in each chain and leave it on your hook. Three loops and then slide. Repeat 2 single crochets. Now your invisible decrease. And repeat the pattern until you get to your stitch marker. And one more time, repeating the pattern. I'm at the last 2 chains, invisible decrease. So you should have 18 stitches now. Remove your stitch marker and add it to the band that's around your hook. For round 18, we're going to do 18 single crochets all the way around, adding one band to each chain. One, all the way around. So I have 18 bands here, 9 and 9. Your last band, you're going to do a slip knot to tie it closed. So we're going to go in our first chain. Make sure you're not going where it's getting pulled, and just do a single crochet. You want to do this to each chain until you get to your stitch marker. Last band slip knot. Last chain, last band, slip knot, tie it closed. And you can remove your stitch marker. This is what you should have. Now we're going to add the safety eyes if you're using. I'm going to add one on the other side here of my little band, and the other one on the other side towards the inside. And then we're going to stuff. So you want to put the backings on. I'm going to turn it around, so just so you see where the placement is. I'm going to add the backing on, and then I'm going to cut that rubber band. You want to be very careful when you cut the band so you don't end up cutting the face. Again, be very careful so you don't cut the pink bands. And add some stuffing. When you add the stuffing, you want to make sure it's proportioned with the body. So you want to have a good look at that. Excuse me. I'm just going to add maybe a little bit more, so it's not showing through, and I'm just going to squeeze the face. And if you have anything really coming out, then you want to just kind of take it out, and you know you have too much. So again, proportioned, should look kind of like this with the body. I'm going to attach the snout first before I do anything else. I found this easier than attaching it after the body is on. So I'm going to do the snout first. I'm going to use 15 bands. I'm going to do 15 slip stitches around. I'm using a toothpick just to help keep it in place. So you kind of want to find the placement for this. I'm just going to kind of like pick a hole here on the face and push it down. Just to kind of look at it, and this is where I want it to go. Now I have my slip knot at the top of the center here, and I'm going to start by going through the chain beside the slip knot. So I'm going to go in and just right below, make sure you don't stretch, just put your hook straight down and grab a chain. So kind of like right below, like right behind this chain on the snout here. And I'm going to do a slip stitch with my first band. So bringing it through the chain on the head and the chain on the snout. Grabbing the end and slide. Now I'm going to go to the next chain on the other side of the slip knot, keeping it flat and not stretched out, and I'm going to go right beside the chain where I just grabbed. So if you kind of give it a tug, you'll see you were here, you're going to go to the next chain over. And you're going to do a slip stitch by bringing it through all of the chains that are all of the loops that are on your hook, grabbing the end and slide. Again, put it flat, grab your next chain, and go right beside where you just finished. So the next chain over, and slip stitch. Again, fixing it up, grab your next chain, and you're going to go to the next chain over where you just went, putting your hook flat, not stretching it out, right underneath where the chain is on the snout. Keeping it flat. Next chain, same thing. You're going to go right beside, I'm going to kind of turn now, so the next chain that's right underneath your chain on the snout. Try not to grab the stuffing like I just did. And next, putting your hook flat, again, next chain. I went here, so I'm going to grab underneath, so letting the hook go flat. And you're just going to continue going around. Hook flat, so you can tell where to grab underneath the chain of the snout. And so on. Hook flat, or hook, loosen up your hook so it'll tell you which chain on the face to grab. Just look at the point of your hook. And I'm just going to do that again because I grabbed stuffing. I'm just going to look at the nose. I kind of want to be even with this side, so like from the eye view here, I want to be the same on the other side. So that's what I'm going to be looking for. I'm just going to compare. You can see that I didn't have stuffing. I didn't add stuffing in the nose. I didn't feel that you need to. And this is my last one. So I'm going to tie it off, so I'm just going to pull it tighter. Before I do that, I just want to compare, and I'm okay with my placement. I can remove the toothpick. I'm just going to pull my slip knots through. Now we're going to attach the head to the body, and I'm going to do 18 slip stitches around. So I have 9 and 9, total 18. I'm going to find the center back on the body. So here's the back. What I'm going to do is fold it in half and find that stitch that's going sideways. I'm going to do the same thing to the head. Turn it upside down here. There's your eyes. So you want to kind of like find the center by squishing the body in half. and find that band that's going to the side. So this is the band that I'm going to use, this chain on here. So I'm going to grab my first band and bring it through both of those chains on my hook and then slide. Going to the next chain over on the body, the next chain over on the head, and slip stitch through all the loops on my hook and slide. And again, the body, the head, slip stitch. Body, head, slip stitch. You want to continue that all the way around. When you get to about the 9th stitch, you want to just check your placement because it'd be easier to unravel then rather than later if it's not coming out straight. If you found your center backs, you shouldn't have a problem, but I could be wrong. So I'm just going to lay this flat and make sure that everything is centered. And continue. You can check again just to make sure. This is my last band, so I'm just going to tie it off by just pulling a little bit harder. Check. Turn it around, and you want to just hide all your slip knots. Now we're going to find the placement or attach our ears. And basically, like the center of the eye band is where I started with the first one. Making sure that they're even and making sure that they're even at the bottoms. For each ear, I'm going to use an extra band just to tie it off. So I'm going to find the first placement. Want to make sure that there's a direction of the ear to go, one that's more flat. So if you turn it around, it's kind of going the opposite way. So I'm just going to kind of like make sure it's flat with the head first. Finding the center kind of row of the eyes is where I'm going to start. And this tip is just above the eye here. So I'm not going to start over here. So kind of like that, center of the eye, follow the chain, and I'm going to pull my first band through. Now I am right-handed, so I am going to pull this side through, my bands through the chains first. Just to find the placement. So kind of, why can't I bring this through? There we go. So kind of in a row, catch the chain that's right below your slip knots here, your sewing bands. And this one at the end, you're kind of going off to the side. So I'm just going to bring that one through first here. And then right below the chains, right where your sewing bands are, you want to go. If you go too high, your stitches are going to be over here. So right underneath the sewing band. And now I'm going to catch them. So I'm just going to grab one, grab the next, slide, grab the next, slide, and so on. Turn it around, grab onto the sewing band that's on the ear at the edge, use an extra band, and tie it off. And you're just going to bend the ear, fluff it up. For the other ear, same thing. We want to find our placement, putting it flat, right above the eye, finding the center of the eye, moving this over. We want to make sure that we're even grabbing on this side. So here, I'm going to grab here. I'm just going to check first, making sure that I'm even. I'm kind of too high, so I'm just going to move this down. This looks about even, I think. And same thing. I'm just going to grab my end and I'm just going to slide because I'm right-handed, so I can just kind of go this way anyways. We're going to make sure that our end band is even with the end band on the other side of the ear. So before you tie it off, you want to check the placement. I'm just going to check. And I'm okay with that. So I'm going to tie it off by grabbing the sewing band right on the ear and use another band. And you can hide these slip knots by going through the ear and bringing it through. And you could do that to the other one. Now we're going to do the overalls, and I want you to find a placement. You're going to find a placement for 9 stitches. So I'm going to put a stitch marker here so you can see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And I'm going to put another stitch marker. So I counted 9 stitches in the center front. To show you again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. You can go ahead and find your placement. I'm going to use a stitch marker just so I can show you. What you want to do is with your hook from the top of the head down to the bottom of the body, you're going to do 9 single crochets across. So you want to go from the head down towards the bottom of the feet. I'm only grabbing that single band right there. So 9 stitches, 9 single crochets. So now I have 9 stitches. You really don't need to add a stitch marker. We're going to reverse with 8 stitches for a couple of rounds. For rounds 2, my hook came out. Rounds 2, 3, 4, and 5, we're going to reverse. and you're going to reverse with 8 stitches. You always want to have your hook facing down towards the bottom of the legs here, and crocheting from inside out. If you go from the outside in, it's just going to have a reverse look and it kind of doesn't go flat. You're always going to start in the stitch where your band is coming out of. So you have 8 stitches here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. By round 4, your 8 stitch will kind of get smaller. That's just from pulling, and you have to make sure you're going to do 8 single crochets. So I have 8 bands in each pile. 2, 4, 6, 8. Your last band, you're going to do a slip knot to tie it closed. And I'm going to do 2 rounds with you. So I'm going to go in the stitch where my band is coming out of and just 8 single crochets. So I'm going from the inside out. Now you might find that the snout is in your way, but I found it easier to do it this way rather than have done it before. So go ahead and do 8 single crochets. Now round 3, again, you're going to reverse from the inside out with your hook, 8 single crochets, starting where your band is coming out of. This is the round where your snout's kind of in your way. But it's such a small round that it's okay. So right to the end, using total of 8 bands. Last chain, don't miss it. And again, round 4, from the inside out, you want to make sure, starting in the chain where your band is coming out of, you're going to go to the end and reverse again for round 5. So just continue till you get to the end, and then come back to me when you're done. Now we're going to make his overalls, the straps for the overalls. There's 2. I'm going to do both of them with you because one of them goes through the other. So I just want to point that out. I'm going to do one side first, which is going to be this side. If you do have your slip knots just kind of hanging out, this is the time where you want to just kind of pull it through and hide it. So I'm just going through the little stitches inside this part, just to hide it. I can remove these quite quickly here. I don't need them. What I'm going to do is a chain of 15 using double bands. And I'm going to start on this side. I'm going to go through the chain and do a chain of 15 and then tie it off in the back with a single band. So you can go ahead. I have 5, 10, and 15. You're just creating that chain. I'm just going a little bit fast because a chain is quite easy, so you can pause until you get to a chain of 15. I'm sure you can get away with using a single band too as well, or instead. So there's my chain. I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to put it flat. So kind of where the chain is, that the ends of your chain meet on the bottom here, that's the chain that you're going to grab. So it's no specific chain, just you want to kind of have it flat. And I'm going to be grabbing that band. But I want to let go of one end, so just keep an eye on the chain. What I'm going to do is end up grabbing both of them inside here for just extra support. So I'm going to keep my eye on it. I just have the toothpick right beside me. And I'm going to let go of one end here and kind of hold on to it with my other hand, or with my fingers here. And I'm going to grab onto that chain and put that end back on my hook. I'm going to do a slip stitch with a single band or a slip knot to tie it off. Now for the other strap. Again, I'm going to do the exact same thing, except I'm going to go through the stitch on the back. So I'm going to actually go through the 5th stitch, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, when I get to that point. So when I get to that point, it'll be at chain 11. So this is 5, 10, and 11. When I get here is where I'm going to go through the chain on the back. So I'll show you how to do that. What I want you to do is a chain of 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. I want you to do a chain of 11, sorry, here. And we're going to stop. So you want to find your chain at the end. I more than likely just confused you. Sorry, you want to do a chain of 11. So this is my chain of 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Turn them around. And we're going to go through the 5th chain from the bottom. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Keep an eye on that. I'm just going to put my toothpick just to keep the placement here. Now you're going to have to let go of this chain. So squeeze it and remove your hook off and don't let go. Go through the 5th chain from the bottom here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and put your hook through that chain. Now you're going to grab your chain, put it on your hook, and you want to pull it through this chain here on the strap. And now continue creating your chain. So this would be 12, 13, 14, and 15. And again, same thing, putting it towards the body here and finding where you want to grab. So exactly right there is where I'm going to grab. I'm going to put my toothpick through. You could use a stitch marker here just so you don't lose it, or keep an eye on it. You're going to let go of the end of your chain here and grab the 2 green bands that you have on the pants part. Grab your end, don't let go, and do a slip knot with a single band. You can go ahead and hide the slip knot going through the body here and just pulling it down, and you can do that to the next one. Now we're going to attach on the arms, and I'm going to go like right, you can go on an angle, you can go straight, have them down. I'm going to kind of go on an angle just like this, and I'm going to be right where the strap is. So you want to find the placement for you have 4 bands to bring through the chains on the body. So I'm going to have it like this. Again, you want to make sure you can see sometimes the hand, I kind of prefer one side rather than the other. That's entirely up to you. And I'm going to kind of go on an angle. So I'm going to bring my bands through. I'm going to go here. You can move your strap by taking it off and bringing it down and then putting it back over the arms after. And I'm going to tie it off, grabbing the sewing band on the arm and doing a slip knot. And you can bring that band through to hide it. And we can do the other side. Same thing, you want to make sure it's even on both sides here. You could move this out of the way. And same thing, bringing it through the chains. Checking to make sure it's even. And I dropped the stitches. Turn it around and grab the sewing band to tie it off. And you can hide your slip knot. Now I'm just going to show you how I'm going to be doing the button. My button has 4 holes. I prefer just the 2 holes, but the ones that I chose to use have 4 holes. So I'm going to use this opportunity just to show you. I'm going to thread my band onto a piece of string here and put my 2 ends together and go from one hole to the next at the back. So you want to go from the back, not the front. Back to the front here, pull your band halfway through, hold on to your 2 ends of the string and go to the next hole. From front now to the back. It's just a bit tricky with 4 holes on the button, and bring your other half of the band through. So now I have 4 bands. You want to make sure that they're even. And you want to find the ends of one band. What I'm going to do, just keep an eye on that. What I'm going to do is go through 2 sections here. So I'm skipping a hole and going out the other. I'm going to bring my end of the band through, holding on to the other end, bringing it through, grab the other end, and slide, and bring it over the button. I have to do the same thing. I'm going to have to do the same thing with the other band. Bring it over the button. I'm going to find my 2 ends. I'm going to grab one with my hand here and the other. Just keep an eye on it. Go through the same opening. Grab your end, bring it through. Grab your other end, slide. And I feel like I messed up. Nope, that was my slip knot. Came undone. Okay, so here's my end. I lost my end. Here it is. Just going to bring my end through. Sorry, grab the other end, slide, and bring it over the button. So you have to be very careful. That was my slip knot that came out. And the two buttons. Basically just bring it through and bring it over the button just to secure it in place. Now we're going to create the tail, and you can make it a little bit shorter than what I'm about to show you, just making your chain less. I'm going to be making the chain of 7, so you can even do like a chain of 5 if you want. What I'm going to do is turn it around, and at the back I'm going to find where I'd like to start. So I'm going to start center, just a stitch down, and I'm going to create a chain of 7. So bringing my band through, grabbing the end, and creating the chain. Single bands. We're going to turn this. I'm going to turn this so you can see. What I'm going to do is a slip stitch at the top. So I'm just going to slide my band. Now we're going to do a reverse stitch. Right now I have 6 empty chains, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, because we just did a slip stitch with the top. I have 6 sections here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I'm going to start off with 2 bands. So I'm going to do 2 single crochets in this first stitch. The next stitch over, I'm going to do 4 single crochets in that same stitch. The next stitch over is 2 single crochets, and so on. 4 single crochets in the next, 2 single crochets in the next, and 4 single crochets at the last one here. The last band, I'm going to do a slip knot to tie it closed, and I'm going to wrap it around the tail. So I'm just going to go reverse. It doesn't really matter how you go. I'm going to kind of go in just like that. I don't even have the full chain on my hook, but I find that that's okay. So just get comfortable of how you want to go. So I'm going to do 2 single crochets in this one chain. Again, back in. See, pretty soon you're going to have a hard time seeing what I'm doing, so just follow the layout. 4 single crochets in this next chain. Back in. Back in again. And one more time, same chain. So I have 4 chains left, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 4 sections left. Continue the pattern, next chain over, 2 single crochets. Back in. Next chain, 4 single crochets in that one chain. I have 2 chains left, 2 sections left. Next chain, 2 single crochets in that one chain. Back in. Last chain is 4 single crochets. Last band slip knot. Back in. And last band slip knot, bringing it through all the loops grabbing the end, tying it off, and I'm going to wrap this around the tail. So I'm just going to bring it around. I'm probably going to do it 3 times, making sure that it's at the end, and probably 1 more time. I'm going to have to loosen up that tension. And the tail's done. I find it cute.